Welcome back to the Nullify Tech channel on YouTube, where Kahuna and I've got the TNT takes you on the Challenge USA 2 finale episode. That's right, I'm your host, Chris, and with me again is Kahuna, my ride or die. Kahuna, how you doing?
Chris, I'm doing great, man. I'm doing good. We had a final. I'm not passing judgment on whether it was an amazing or not, but I do want to say that I there's obviously flaws, but I like that still. I like that.
Yeah.
That's where I'm sitting. I can see the issues, but I didn't mind. You know what I mean? Like in the end.
We'll talk about it. We'll because I know
Yeah.
that there will. It's difficult to when you've got a passionate fan base like the Challenge fandom, very very passionate fan base. It's hard to satisfy everyone. Like some people are gonna have issues with things. I kind of look at the show these days and I look at life and I'm like, is life really fair? No. Should we strive to be fair in life? Yes. But life's not fair. The challenge isn't fair. There's going to be things that are going to go sometimes your way and sometimes will go against you. In this case, I'm coming into it not too upset because guess what? Two more Survivor players have won a challenge season. And I'm a big Survivor fan. So obviously from that perspective, I'm pretty happy, Kuna. I'm not too upset coming into this one.
2 from 2 seasons of the Challenge USA. Like Survivor gets in that show, they dominate. They win. So not only did they win, but on the women's side, 3 of them were the final 3 as well. No one else but Survivor on the women's side, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, 100% you did. Team Kiora, TJ, welcome in the house. We've also got Oreo, who's been giving me smoke here right from the start, saying live soon, but soon can mean 10 minutes. When have I ever been 10 minutes late, Oreo? When have I ever been? Never. It's never going to happen.
Well, he does admit.
Team Skirts here. Sorry?
Oreo does admit, like,
Yeah.
I was wrong. Sorry,
Good on
Chris.
you, Oreo. Good on
Actually,
you.
there wasn't sorry, just I was wrong.
Willie, welcome back to the live as well. We've also got Elise here saying, hey guys, great finale. Can't wait to talk about it. Yeah, it was a great finale overall. We kind of went straight into it. Like one of the issues that I did have with the finale was that it would have been good, I feel like, to have maybe like a little bit of a longer episode, but obviously it's on CBS. It has to stick to the 40-minute sort of time frame as well for the show. So because of that, we went straight into the finale. We see them all standing out there in the middle of the field. And TJ says that this finale is going to be broken up into 2 days. It's going to be strength, smarts, skill, and then a strong stomach. So going to test you across a few different things. And what did you think of this format? What did you think about the twist that he brings in by him saying that you can double down at least on one of these checkpoints? And if you win, you get 2 minutes advantage going into day 2. But if you lose, you risk having a 2-minute penalty instead of the normal 1-minute penalty if you were to come late in that specific checkpoint. Did you like it?
I like the format. I like the idea of what they were doing. I just think they got the balance a little bit off. The penalties and the advantage from these, which were, the entire first day, I think were too small and negated very, very easily the next day. Like it's like anything on the next day completely made the first day null and void. But I like the idea of it. I just think they have to tweak where the balances lie. Are those skills really that important? Or not skills, but the strength, smart skills and stomach important? Then they should be valued more. What we've seen in the past is similar stations, but set up in the midst of the challenge, like in the midst of the race. You're running up a mountain, you stop, then you eat. And that adds a certain thing to it. Like after doing 80 miles, can you spell? Like,
Yeah.
oh, not 80 miles, but after running up a mountain, can you spell? After running some more, can you eat and keep it down? Like, I like that. But I kind of appreciate the fact that, like, look, these are the things we do. We're just going to get them out back to back to back. Can you do these skills straight up without worrying about anything else? Maybe there's an element that's, good to that. I'm not sure how I feel, but I was liking it in the moment. That's for sure.
I don't think that. I think we need to break this twist down in 2 different ways, really. So, firstly, one of the things I think they tried to prevent here is that in a lot of this is not a new flaw of the challenge, and this is not a new flaw of the finale, that the first day doesn't really mean anything going into the second day. We've seen this happen time and time again, that the penalties isn't enough. What I do like, though, is the fact that they brought an element in where you could take a risk for advantage, but by taking that risk, you also stand to lose a lot if you kind of misjudge your own capabilities going into a specific checkpoint. So you now have to think, am I good at smarts? Am I good at having an iron stomach? What is going to be the thing that I can maximize my points on? So I agree with you from that standpoint. It's great to see players being forced into making a decision in the finale that could either win them the game or cost them the game. The problem that I also had, and I agree with you, as someone that has done half marathons, as someone that has run Spartan obstacle course races over more than 10 miles, I know that a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes is nothing when it comes to that distance that you have to run. There's bigger things that happen in the second day that actually has a massive effect on how players end up. And we'll talk about the controversial one, because I think there was just a very overpowered checkpoint on day 2 that made all the difference. But really, in the big scheme of things, when it comes to running, the 1 minute penalties, the 2 minute penalties, it didn't really mean a lot, but it did make for some entertaining TV right off the bat, because we see Corey backing himself in strength. Not a surprise here, wanting to go up the mountain with the sled, pulling up his own body weight, a percentage of his own body weight, and saying he's going to double down just to flop. Kahuna, how much did you enjoy seeing Corey struggle throughout day 1? Because I know you're not the biggest fan.
I feel vindicated a little bit. Like, I feel like what I've been saying is somewhat justified by Corey's finals appearance this time. But the fact that the first one, I get it. Like, I understand if there was going to, you hear them, right? TJ says strength, smarts, skills, and iron stomach. He's like, well, the only one I've got of those is strength, so I'm going to have to do it. But at the same time, if you look down your line and you've got Fessy next to you and you've got Chris next to you and potentially Bananas, maybe you're stronger than him, but that's a hard lineup to go, I'm definitely backing myself to win this with strength when you're standing next to Fessy and Chris. Like, maybe it's your best chance, but are you going to win and risk that? And it shows why he also came last in smarts too, because that was not a smart
decision. But it also shows why Corey keeps getting the call back, because he's willing to take the risk. He's like, the producers don't want people on the show that's not going to try and go all out in the finale. So, having him there take the risk, maybe it didn't pay off this season, at least sort of, in my opinion, sort of justifies why he is out there in the first place, because he's going to give them something opposed to nothing if he gets the callback. So, again, I hear you on this. I felt really bad for Corey throughout this first day, and we'll talk more about that, because it didn't really go much better in any of the other checkpoints for him in day 1, but he showed some real good fighting spirit. But let's talk a little bit about Chris here, because, not a lot of us saw this coming. Oreo was maybe the only one of the 2,000 subscribers that we had on the channel here that saw Chris winning this season. And Oreo, hats off to you, my friend, because a lot of people didn't see it coming. I had him as my second guy pick, but when we did the draft. But again, like I said, if I could have picked Tyler ahead of him, or if I could have picked Corey ahead of him, I probably would have. He was the 6th overall pick in our draft when it came to picking men. So I was lucky that Chantal, and Drew, they went in a different direction. That meant that Chris fell to me in the draft. In fact, I had both winners. I don't know how that happened. I took a punt on Desi very early on.
He was the first pick. Yeah.
She was my first pick, and I kind of saw that, but I didn't see Chris coming. How impressed were you with Chris in this first challenge? Because you mentioned Fessy there. He is known for his strength, something that he's good at, but Chris was the one who impressed the most here, because he wins right off the bat in the first sort of strength and endurance challenge that is there.
When I saw that, that's when I went, like, I guess similar to Oreo, a little bit later to the piece than he arrived, but I was like, oh, that's it. Like, if he wins that with Fessy and Corey, and that's their thing, like, strength is their thing, they're not going to back themselves in smarts, or Fessy definitely not going to back himself in eating, but I mean, he did well. But if that's meant to be their advantage over Chris, and he just wiped the floor with him, at that point I went, oh, it's over. Chris is going to win. Like, at that point, I felt like it was a 2-man race. Bananas was still in it to me, even though he came 3rd. I thought the other challenges that were going to come up, or the other trials, Bananas has a shot. But once Chris destroyed Corey and Fessy, I was like, they got no shot. They were out of it for me. So I was like, Chris, that's super impressive for him to do that.
One thing that Chris has is heart. And again, you just when I did my picks yesterday, Oreo's liking another pick. I believe I had Horacio in my team. But, I think one of the things that I look out for when I do my draft is heart. Like if someone's got heart and I know they're not going to quit, Chris is that guy. He's the guy you want, taking the extra minute penalty shot, In fact, I just watched, and I know nobody in the live probably knows except maybe Kiwi Skirt and TJ. I just watched the semifinals of the rugby an hour or so ago, and South Africa played in the semifinals, and they were behind for 70 minutes out of the 80 minutes, and then clutched it out in the 78th minute to win, to go and defend their title in a final going into this. And it's just the team with so much heart that can pitch up no matter what you throw at them. And that's why I love them. And Chris is kind of that. He embodies that, I think, for the challenge, because he's been thrown into so many eliminations. It almost battle-hardened him with his survivor experience as well. And the strength was one component of it, but him pushing through and actually getting the dub right off the bat here to set a statement. He's a different breed. And I'm excited. Like, I know we haven't spoken about him in his whole performance, but I'm excited to see where he goes in the future on the challenge.
Yeah, I just want to say, first of all, good on you, Chris. Like, when you're telling that story, I was like, his team, South Africa, 70 minutes behind, come from behind, win, semi-finals to get. I was like, how are you sitting here like calm and cool at 10 a.m. in the morning?
Freaking
like,
pumped,
you should
man.
be like, good on you. That's how dedicated Chris is to the nullified take. His country, his team have pulled off a come from behind win, and he's here, folks, for you chat to discuss the challenge when he should be running around the house in circles. Happy.
Oh, I've done that. I've done that. I've done the whole crazy thing. I talked.
That's a huge win, man. Just you describing it. It's huge.
Yeah, Chris killed that final. Also, I was going to say, 100%. Like, it's hard to even stay focused on the challenge, having had that game play out in the back. But Chris reminded me of that. It's just he's one of those people who don't give up. And we'll talk about someone else who's got a lot of heart as well, because obviously you know where I'm going to go with this, with day 2 performances versus day 1 performances. But we also have to give a little bit of love to the woman here. We get Michaela winning right off the bat, proving that she is a beast when it comes to the physical side of things. Tori losing out on something that I was shocked. Like, all 3 Survivor girls beat her in this first daily. And when this happened, I was like, well, Tori's not winning the physical stuff. This is supposed to be his strength. Where's she going to beat these girls in the final?
I mean, the shocking thing for me was how bad it was. Like, Desi finished 3rd with Michaela and Chanel quite a way ahead of Desi even. And I think Desi finished her 4th while Tori was putting her 3rd crate up. So, like, the gap between her and Desi, but between her and Chanel and Michaela was huge. And this is strength. This is her thing. I don't know what was happening, but she just didn't seem to have it. Similar to Corey. Corey definitely should have been more capable at a challenge like that to lose that much. But I don't know. I'm not sure what happened to Tori, but it sort of set the stage for what was going to happen for the rest of the finals.
Aurea says here, Corey said in the RHAP interview that he didn't see Chris at all on the second day. So by the time that Chris won and TJ celebrated with him, they already left and went back home. And Corey only got there, like Corey got there that late that they would. No, I'm just joking. They were obviously. Oh. He meant before the.
He was there. Line. What am I talking about? He was on the mountain.
No.
I was confused for a second. I was like, wow, Chris is amazing.
I was trying to pull Oreo's leg and then you fell for it. So wop wop. Elise says I'm rooting for Horacio as well for next season. Oreo says, now do we think Chris had the best individual rookie season of all time? Well, guess what? We've got some questions going out there on the Nullified Take channel. I started off with Turbo and Danny going head-to-head for round 1 of who had the better rookie season. Currently, it is Tristan versus Jamie. My cousin Jamie, they're in the second poll as well. We're going to be running that through the next couple of weeks to see who had the best rookie season win of all time, and we'll also include females into this as well. I mean, to make it fair.
I can call it right now. I can call it now. Chris not only had the best rookie season, Chris has had the best individual season ever.
Wow, like statistically, big calls. Yeah,
statistically, like to win 4 eliminations, multiple dailies, team challenge, and then absolutely dominate the final from the start to the end. He's not only the best rookie ever, that's the best individual season by a competitor in the history of the challenge. There you go.
Well, it depends on what you value, right? It depends on if you value the social strategic game. Maybe there's a winner out there that never went into the arena and won on their rookie season.
That's true.
Do you value
Danny
that?
last season had a perfect, they call it a perfect season. 0 elimination scene and a win in the final. That's Turbo. That's Danny. And I love
So what do you value?
I love this, by the way. Also, could have been Corey this season. Threw it away. Chucked it in the bin. Had a perfect season coming into the finals. A chance to really solidify.
You enjoy Corey's misfortune too much, Kuna. Get off.
I bring receipts too. I bring receipts. I'm not like, it's not personal. It's not personal. I have things to back me up.
All right, let's move on for a bit. We will come back to the overall performance of Chris this season, but Elise says Tori's performance was surprising. Or it says Kiwi, I don't think anyone can argue that 4 elim wins, 2 clutch individual daily wins, and won the final. Willie also says Tori got last place to 3 Survivor Girls. I agree. Patricia, welcome back to the live, says hi with 3 exclamation marks. Happy to be here, waiting on my wings and fries to come and enjoy the live with my dinner. Sit back and relax, enjoy your dinner while you're listening to myself and Kahuna here on the Nullify Take channel. But we go into the second checkpoint here, which is smarts. Chris and Debbie both doubles, Desi both doubles down on this one, trying to get more points here. And Corey is having a really, really tough time out there with this one, saying that who spells these days? It's autocorrect. It was fun to see, but again, I guess not surprising that some of the mainstay MTV challenges found it harder than Survivor. Like, I was just like, Desi killed it. I don't think she missed one.
No, I mean, Bananas missed one. He won for the men. Chris doubling down missed a couple. Like, I thought that was I thought he'd be good at that. I was like, yeah, Chris, double down. This is your one.
He was a spelling
Bananas
champion
is not smart. Bananas in the trivia challenge and stuff has not been great traditionally. So I was like, yeah, Chris, go for it. Fessy, Corey, and Bananas. Like, I would double down too, but he didn't have it. But Bananas did. Corey, man, what does he teach his daughter?
Yeah. Marcus is calling you out, saying it does seem personal, Kuna, the beef that you have.
He gives me the fuel. He gives me the material that I need. Like, I'm not searching for it. He provides it.
Yeah. I needed to watch my team play well in the semifinals. Kahuna wakes up and he's ready to go. As soon as Corey loses a final, he's ready to get on the mic. Jeez, mate. I hope Corey calls you out.
Trust me.
Corey,
challenge stats on Twitter. I've got some really cool statistics about this finals.
All right, well, we'll get into that a little bit later on. Oreo says season 41, Tori versus Survivor. Who wins? You got to back Survivor at the moment. Survivor's
versus all of Survivor?
Yeah, then you definitely have
to
back
Tori
Survivor
versus all of them.
Yeah. Dolores here says, hi guys, just arrived. Oh boy, I didn't see this coming except for Chris. In the last 3 episodes, I was, oh my, can this be happening? And then Lawrence says, I think Troy from Australia should also be in the conversation for best rookie season. 4 daily wins, 1 elimination win, and won the finals. So happy Chris won. Well, Troy, my boy Troy, will be in the polls at some stage. So keep an eye on our community tab over the next couple of days as we work our way through the best rookie winner of all time here on the Nullify Take. Dolores is saying, Chris, in that win. Lawrence says, Corey should be happy he didn't get purged at the end of day 1. Well, obviously it came down to a bonehead mistake by someone. The smarts one we can move on from. I didn't think that was all that impressive, but the next one was skill, which was a slide puzzle, which Fessy did do really well, and he kind of called the pattern out before it even happened. He said it's going to be black, yellow, and they had to get these tiles sort of sliding into this obstacle and make sure that 4 of them didn't either diagonally or horizontally sort of match up with each other, and absolutely killed it on this. We had a couple of people here, 3 people calling a double down on it, which was Michaela, Tori, and Bananas, with Tori actually making the most of the opportunity here to claim back the points that she lost, or the minutes that she lost in the first 2 challenges. What did you think of this challenge and the performance of the individuals that were taking place?
I mean, Tori clutched it there. She needed that after, back-to-back sort of last place. She had the 2-minute penalty. She doubles down on the 2 minutes, comes back to nil. So big effort from Tori. But the fact that she smashed that so fast, and she even said before she even she's like, I think I have a strategy for this. I want to double down. Fessy as well, destroying it instantly. I started feeling funny. I was like, did producers slip them a note before the season started or something? Because they nailed it immediately. Like, you know what I mean? Like they saw that pattern. And I don't think that's traditionally been in their wheelhouse to just figure out patterns and puzzles and stuff like that.
Fessy is pretty good. Like Fessy's pretty good at puzzles. Like he's pretty good at the numbers and the puzzles. Like he's actually not a dumb guy. I think people miss that because they just don't like Fessy and they don't want to give him any credit. But even on Big Brother, he was good at that
I'll
stuff.
cop to that.
Yeah, like even in Big Brother, like I remember, I think Fessy won the challenge where you have to spell the longest word with like a bunch of different letters, and he had like a ridiculously long word that he spelled. So he's not a dumb guy. I just think people they're very biased against him.
He's
Tori,
also got the big jock thing, like it takes away from, you know. So I see it, but
yeah, Tori, I can understand.
Impressive. It was impressive. They did well. And I liked the fact that they obviously saw the pattern that was the most like meta that would win instantly, but other people figured out ways to do it within the like without using that pattern. So there were multiple ways to solve it and multiple ways to finish it, which I thought was really cool. And Corey's struggling again. 3 for 3. 3 for 3.
This was the moment where I was like, surely, I know Kuna finds some enjoyment out of Corey not doing well, but surely he had to feel a little bit bad here when Corey started breaking down, talking about his kids. You know, you're a dad as well. You know what it's like when you want your kids to be proud of you and you want to show them, like, you know, that you show up, you never quit. And he went through all of the emotions there. As a dad, surely you had to feel that, you know, when he was sort of there.
Genuinely, I did. I really did, especially because of the timing of it. Yesterday, I only watched it last night. I try to watch it as close to the podcast as possible so I don't forget everything with all the other content I consume.
Yes.
But yesterday, I went to, for the folks that don't know in the chat, I used to be a roller derby announcer on the microphone, you know, hyping the crowd up, all that sort of thing, live audience, all that sort of thing. And I stopped just before COVID and sort of retired. I was doing it, traveling all around Australia. It took up my life, right? And I retired because it just took up too much time with the kids. Yesterday, I got invited to the grand final of the big tournament in our state to announce on the microphone. And walking in, I got so much, like, everyone that's still been there from when I was announcing previously, like, oh, Kuna, I'm getting hugs, I'm getting things. And my family came with me. And my daughter, my boy's Roman's 5, my son's like, my baby's like 20 months. They don't know what's going on. But Nova, I was like, oh, she got to see that her dad is kind of cool. Like people like that. People respect that. If he, like, dad's not the loser he is at home that's boring. He sits in his room and talks to someone on online. Like she actually got to like see me in a different light, which I was like, and then to come home after that experience and see Corey go, what am my daughter? I don't want my daughter to think I'm a loser. And I was like, oh my God. Like I did feel bad for him. I don't hate the guy, genuinely. I just see the stats. I just see that I don't think he's that performer, but I think he's a good guy. And this season, I do think he performed incredibly well. And I can see him potentially setting up to win. Even I'll walk back what I said.
I want Corey.
He will never
I want
win.
Corey to win.
I think he can. Yeah, I think he.
I really.
Can. He showed me a bit more this season, despite the stumble at the end. I think this season was good, Corey, for sure.
Yeah,
how's
Corey's
that?
He's become no. That's good. I'm proud of you, man. We're making some progress with you here on the show, Kuna. I'm sure Nikki would even approve of that, you know. But I do think that with Corey, like he's a likable guy. Like he's turned to become this likable father figure for his kids, and you know, I do want to see him definitely come back and challenge. Laura says, I don't feel like Fessy, but props for winning the puzzle stage. Actually eating, which I didn't think he would. We'll talk about that next. Willie says, I always want Corey to win, but he needs to work on spelling and puzzles in order to be a champion. Totally agree. Well, I don't know if spelling. I feel like spelling is one of those things that's hard to like learn. Puzzles,
that's
you
hard,
can get
like
good.
Just how do you train to be smarter? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
some people, they just don't have it. You know what I mean? Like I
Corey,
can't.
I'm putting it out there once again. I'm putting it out there. Corey's season that he wins is if he's matched with someone that gives him the things that he doesn't have in his weaknesses. So if there's someone who's good at the spelling, good at the puzzles, I can see him win. Or if he's in a team event, like we haven't seen like teams going up against each other in a long time. And if they wanted to have more people become champions, like easily, I could see that being a season where he could win. because he's a good team player. Lena also says, agree with you, Willie. He and Nelson focuses more on the physical. Kiwi says, yes, Willie Lloyd, but he doesn't seem to make the effort between seasons to learn, which is a shame. The man's too busy to go and do that. But, we do go into the next one here. It's Steel Stomach. I had a lot of fun with Michaela and Tori on this one, and Michaela just saying, like, Tori is having the time of her life, dancing while she's eating. And Michaela says, I don't have a gas station palate. I'm a lady of leisure. And I loved it, Kahuna. Like, we all get the gas stations, with the, I guess I don't know what you call them in America, but over here it's like meat pies, which is hot pies. It's not like
Always
the cold
the
pies that you get over in the US. Yeah, but it's just the gas station food. It just hit home. I was like, when you've had a night out on the pub or you've gone out with friends to a club and you've got the hangover food and you get to a gas station that's open at 24 hours, you're going to regret it the next day. But damn, it's good in the moment. And Michaela's like, I'm not about that life. I don't live that life. Well, Tori, she's born there. She's comfortable within it. Anything is an upgrade from eating American cheese and ketchup.
I look, I have a gas station palate for sure. Like, because the way I was raised, if you're from a lower socioeconomic area and your mum is Filipina, you eat some weird stuff that I didn't realize was that weird. Now, as an adult, and I have a very, very Caucasian wife, and I say, hey, I want to eat this. She's like, what? What do you mean? Like, you eat, like, one of my favorite things when you're talking about a gas station palate, Spam in a can and corned beef in a can was like staples. There, see, that's the reaction.
I've had them before. But it's just thinking about it now, and I'm like, I feel like you grow out of that at some stage, and you're like, I don't need to go and eat that anymore,
Well, it served Tori well, didn't it, in this instance? Because I thought it was like, no matter what, I think I have a pretty good stomach, and I think I have a pretty bad palate that I can eat junk. But I mean, not anymore, but I used to be able to, but I wouldn't be dancing through it. Like, she did well. Like, when she finished, Michaela looked at her, girl, you psycho, or you crazy, or something like that. Like, just could not fathom her, like,
Yeah. Tori's training in between seasons. She's hitting up all the garages over there, the gas stations, and she's getting those hot pockets in between season. Also, Kiwi saying, yes, loved watching Tori, enjoying it, as the others were all puking. Bananas did good as well. I think he did good because, again, it is a challenge staple. So it's not like he hasn't gone through that before. Totally agree with you, Lena. Michaela is funny. I have really enjoyed Michaela, and I've got some thoughts about Michaela's finish. As soon as we get there, we'll talk about it. Willie Lloyd says, what hot pockets do you get? Lauren, Elise Bond says, Desi and Tori was eating some questionable stuff in the house, so she wasn't surprised Tori did well. I said Tori was eating some questionable stuff. Lauren says, I'm a pepperoni pizza girl myself.
I wish we had hot pockets here. We don't have hot pockets. I've never had a hot pocket.
Don't. I feel like you get them. Don't you get them in like supermarkets? Like, I feel like if you go to Woolies or something like that,
the brand doesn't exist here. The brand doesn't exist here. We have our versions of it. There's like pizza rolls and stuff, and hot. What are they called? Rock and rolls. I don't know, but we don't have hot pockets at all.
Your wife is probably happy about that. She's probably like, thank goodness we're keeping Kahuna away from the hot pockets over here in Australia. But yeah, a fun competition. Corey and Chanel, once again, at the bottom, at a disadvantage. Going into camp, there was a whole section, Kahuna, that we missed out on. I saw Bananas' tweet, or his ex, I don't know what you call it these days, but he had his what, excretion? Is that what it's called? You just made that up on the spot. Anyway, so he had like a mini rant about a whole challenge being taken out of the finale because they were having to stand on it was like a cinder block or something they had to stand on throughout the night while one person was sleeping. So it was the whole one person stays awake at the campfire while the other person goes and sleep, and they had to alternate. So we didn't get to see that, which for me, I was like, I'm okay that we didn't see it because the episode was short. Like, I mean, how much drama would really have come from that, and how difficult was it really?
We don't need them. They don't need to do them anymore either because, first of all, they cut them out. They're the most boring part because they're just standing generally. And it's also where the most danger comes in as far as people passing out or whatever. But also, like, I think that's when we see some of the stuff-ups from production or people finding loopholes and ways around. And the controversies we've had about things like is usually in that night camping bit. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just it doesn't add much, and it is potentially fraught with downsides as well. I think I don't think we need it anymore, especially if they're just going to cut it out.
Yeah. At least I saw a thumbnail on my DVR where they were standing on stumps. So I think that's probably what I was thinking or referring to. If CBS didn't release those thumbnails, nobody would have even known. Dolores says, "Oh gosh, Kahuna, when I think of spam, I think of Iron Chef episode where the main ingredient was spam, and then she's got a little poop emoji next to it."
I would have loved it. It would
Dolores
have
says,
been amazing.
Chanel said in an interview it was interesting. Michaela and Bananas compared time. She said, in hindsight, she would have only kept it between the two of them and not shared with anybody else. Oreo says when Corey wins a challenge, he will be in the finals against Josh and Ed or someone like Yes or Yui going into the final. Well,
Huey making a final.
But it's such a random combination. Like Corey won't beat Yes in a final unless Yes gets slow. I guess he's getting older, but Yes is pretty good in the final if you remember All Stars 1. And then I feel like people should put some respect on Ed's name. I feel like Ed could be like a sleeper going into this next season as well.
Did you pick him for 39?
I did not.
Okay.
I think it was Drew. Drew picked him.
He looks
like somewhere towards the upper tier. Like the bakery gave him the tea. They told him to pick him quite high. Yeah, by the way, Kuna, you and I should start strategizing before these things as well, because Drew's got the bloody bakery. I'm like, I've got the BK. I got to like start consulting you before these lives. You know, what did you think of the draft overall?
It's good, man. It's fun. It's big though. This is like you have to do 11. Like there's so many people. I was like,
oh, it's like 2.5 hours of drafting. I'm glad I'm so glad I stepped out of the Survivor recap. Can you imagine if I did the Survivor recap and that? I would have been doing
after.
I would have been like 4 hours or something doing two lives back to back. Yeah, the draft was long. It was hard. You know, I blame it on the fact that we had to also pick champions. But it did make the draft interesting. It did make it interesting having to choose champions strategically and who would you risk going for early, you know, with Chantel doing that before some of the rest of us did it. And I was going to go for CT at the exact point when she did as well, you know, so she did a good job and sort of getting just ahead of me. So it's like, damn it, no one's going to be this you know, risky going for like this second male pick or first male pick. Might have been a first male pick now that I think about it. It's crazy.
That is crazy because I don't think they're going to play that big a role in the season. So it was interesting. Yeah. It was good. I always watch the drafts and go, oh man, the trio. I wish I could be in the draft. And then you go for 2.5 hours. I'm like, nah, I'm good. Thank you.
You're glad you're out. Believe me, it's marathon. It's not a sprint. Those ones. Like I've never done a draft that's been quicker than about 2 hours when I do it with them. It is a lot of fun, but it's a lot of back and forth. Yeah. Thomas McGee, welcome to the live, says, I believe this is my first time catching this podcast. Well, welcome to the live. I hope you enjoy it. We've got a friendly bunch of people here in the live, and a lot of the times, you know, the most unfriendly person is Kahuna towards Corey, but the rest of it's pretty good. But yeah, listen, the camp was fun, seeing them be there, seeing Chanel start the fire with the flint while Chris is also overseeing the fire. We know that Chris is historically one of the fastest fire makers in Survivor. I think maybe the second fastest on record to do that final fire making challenge. So seeing Chanel and Chris, the two survivors, getting it started, I thought was pretty cool. It was like the game within a game of Survivor players getting the fire started at camp. It looked like they got it going pretty quickly as well. And then they went into day 2, and day 2 was fun because they'll have all these different competitors leaving at different times. We spoke about this earlier, that it really wasn't that big of an advantage. But the funniest part for me was Corey sitting back at the end and TJ just being TJ, making fun of him, saying, hey, do you want to go take a nap? And Corey just like lapping it up. And this is why I love TJ. TJ just, he's one of the boys. He's one of the challengers himself. Like he's just one of them, and he's never above them. He doesn't come across as being above them or superior to them. I love the back and forth banter here, and Corey sort of playing in with it.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, he's right. He could have taken a nap. Like I think if I math it correctly, his 5-minute advantage with Bananas having a 2-minute and then Fessina having 1. I think it worked out to be an 8-minute disadvantage from Bananas to Corey. There was an 8-minute difference, if I can count that on my fingers.
I think so.
Like that's a long time to sit there, you know. So Like if you've ever sat anywhere in silence with someone standing in front of you, like TJ just standing there for 8 minutes, that's excruciating. That's a long time to just stare someone in the
Yeah.
face and not make jokes and not like have fun. You know what I mean? Like it gets awkward after a while, especially because Corey, when Chanel was gonna run, he was already in pose. He was already like in his get down, I'm about to run pose. I'm like, are you gonna stay there for the next 5 minutes? Like, what's happening?
Yeah. Marcus, you're right. Gabler and Heidi did beat that record. So I believe Chris is the second fastest. Heidi ended up getting the record for the fastest firemaker. Yeah, I actually don't know if Gabler was faster, but I know Heidi definitely was. Heidi was definitely the fastest ever. Gabler, you're testing my knowledge on that one. Probably close between the two of them. Actually, I think you're right. I feel like Gabler broke the record, and then the very next season, Heidi went and
broke it again.
broke the record again. I think you're right, Marcus. Oreo says, when I saw CT picked early, I was like, what the fuck were they doing with one elimination each? I think TJ would win a final before Corey would. I'm sure Kahuna would approve of that message there, but yeah, man. Or I said that TJ got jokes, but I think Oreo's got jokes in this live. He's giving it to Corey as well. He's not letting him slide. But going into this run here, they have to run up to the first checkpoint. Bananas talks about the fact that, he normally does slow and steady wins the race when it comes to one of these sort of finals. He knows that it's a marathon, not a sprint, as they have to run 10 miles on day 2. He does end up getting to the first checkpoint there with Fessy and Chris at the same time. Bananas once again proving that he does well at stupid shit, like he says. It's his call. He's like, I'm good at random stuff. And he does get that axe throw in the first attempt. Chris does really well. But Fessy, even though he practiced axe throwing before going on the season, he had something up on social showing how he practiced it. So another thing there, Kahuna, did production tell him axe throwing was going to be in this season? Because he actually had some axe throwing competition going beforehand, and I don't think I've ever seen it on the challenge before. And he was pretty good in the practice, but he couldn't perform on the day. So we've got to start asking ourselves now, because Fessy messes up royally at this point by missing out, running the wrong way, taking the shortcut, having to go back, obviously ultimately gets purged here from day 1. But no one believes more that they can win a final than Fessy. Fessy believes in himself. But is he the opposite of BMT? Does he have no big match temperament when it comes to finals? Because how many finals is it now that he has not been able to clutch it out?
He's a choker. He's played 3 finals, and he's 0 for 3. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, you think, Elise said that Fessy actually tried to cheat. He took the shortcut on purpose, perhaps.
Yeah, do you think he thought maybe production loves him and they'll be like, oh, no, you're good, mate. Just keep going. Nobody saw that.
Well, I was freaked out when I was like, I saw the little sign. I was like, is he going the wrong way? And then when they show the little map with the heads moving and he was all the way at the top, like, I was like, hey, what did he do? Like, how did he get up there? So I don't know. Like, the axe throwing, maybe that was his thing. Maybe he shouldn't have practiced, because Desi said, I've never even touched an axe in my life. She got it first go. Bananas has never really thrown axes. He said he got it first go. And then Fessy, who like has practice, couldn't get it. It was a weird thing.
It was weird because let me tell you why it was weird on the run, right? So at least here, and quite a few people are saying that he took it on purpose. He was trying to cheat. I don't know if he did. But the one thing that was strange to me is he said, I'm a good runner. I can make up the time even if I have to run an extra mile and a half. Didn't he find it strange that he's so easily caught up to Chris and so easily caught up to Bananas in the run? Like, did he just think, I am that good? Like, I mean, these guys... Yeah, I did a mile and a half in the time that it took them to do half a mile. Like, somewhere something needed to not make sense to him. And for some of the reason, he just kept going. So maybe there is some truth to this rumor that he just did it on purpose. I don't know, because how do you not know that something is wrong? You're running way faster than what you should.
Oh, this is interesting, because look at what BBG95 says. Tori said Fessy tried to cheat on the podcast, saying that production couldn't figure out that he didn't actually make the axe throw. Would have been hilarious if they just DQ'd him on the spot. So Tori called him out on the official challenge podcast, say Fessy knew.
Yeah.
That's crazy then. That's crazy. So people are right in their assumptions.
Yeah, true that. Thomas, you're not going to like me very much. I'm just going to say that because you're saying that Gabler is a bit of a trigger for you. You still don't understand why he won. I'm a Gabler fan. I like Gabler's win, so I don't know if you're going to like that or not. But we do welcome
Nope.
all opinions on the
Welcome,
podcast.
Thomas. Thank you for the one episode you're going to watch then.
Yeah, we appreciate it. If you're going to bounce out now and not give us a shot, we understand. I'm not. It was a good start. We had him for half of a podcast. Now he's out. But I feel like people sometimes get so like upset by who wins, and where I've really gone personally, I've gone through my mindset completely changed. And I spoke to Logan about it on the Amazing Race podcast that we did on Friday evening, where both me and him, since we started podcasting, we kind of look at the show now more as a spectacle, as a production. Like, was the season good as a whole? Did we have some fun moments? Was the casting choices right? But I don't get as personally invested in the final person winning anymore. Yes, sometimes it upsets me if I can't see like how somebody won, and I feel like a better person could have won. But it's not. I don't know. It's not the level it was prior to me podcasting. Since I've started podcasting, I've calmed down a lot about getting really tribal about certain players on the show. I don't know if you've made. Well, I guess with Corey, you've got your thing with him. But outside of that, I don't know if it's changed for you since you've started podcasting, and if you look at it more as a show now as a whole, as well.
Yeah, a little bit. I've always appreciated that. That's I think if you're basing it on the person themselves, then I would never have been a fan of Bananas because he's an asshole. But I respected the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've always kind of been able to separate that because that's a huge thing. Like the product people put out is very different to the person, and if you hold them together, sometimes it's difficult because, man, if we did that, like how many songs could we not listen to anymore, or musicians that we don't like because really we know they're all, not all, but many of them are bad people in the real world. How many movies do you not want to watch anymore because the actors and stuff? And it's hard. I get it. Like I struggle with that as well. But how many sports stars, man? Like, can you not watch sports anymore? Because
this is my opinion about Gabler. That's why he won. But last thing I will say. Last thing I will say about Gabler before we move on, and we won't talk about it too much because it's a different show, right? Is that I love the fact that he is owning into the whole Emily hated him. That's why she applied for this latest season of Survivor. Now he's got like the Emily Flippin supporter jersey, and he's all over social media supporting her. I'm loving it. The guy's got a sense of humor, really, and he's like, she hates me. I'm going to be her #1 supporter online, and I think that's such a cool outlook on it. And he doesn't take things too seriously, which is pretty cool. But let's read a few more comments here. Dolores says the reason I think that he did it was in his confessional, he wasn't looking at the camera when he said that he forgot. He was just kind of looking all over the place, and he had this look on his face. So he probably did fucking try and like cheat in the way at the end. Per Bananas and Corey Fessel tried to sabotage them and get them to turn around as well. Wow. Okay, so he was, because I was wondering, running back, and he was like, "Why are you returning?" And he could have easily said, you had to hit it in the center. If you were slightly off, you got to turn back, because I think Bananas only barely hit it as well in the target. So maybe he was trying to throw him off his game.
Yeah, I heard he tried to convince him to come back with him. Like, he's so dodgy, man. He tried to cheat, and then when he got busted for it, he tried to make the others do the punishment with him.
Yeah. Thomas, I appreciate that. Because a lot of the times people get so angry. Like, if you don't have the same opinion as them, it's like, it's okay. Like, we love different opinions. And just because we feel that way, we don't expect you to feel that way. It's fine to have your own opinion about it, you know? So
yeah,
I think that's one of the fun things.
Me and Chris just hate each other in real life.
Listen, I'm a Corey fan. Kuna's not a Corey fan, and we still podcast together, you know? So I still allow him to have the mic sometimes. Danica says, seriously, tech off alert only just went off. Oh no, Danica. We've been wondering where you were. I thought you were out driving somewhere again, because you're always in your car. It's like probably she's like, dropping people off somewhere. All right. Well, go back and listen to the start as well later on, Danica. I hope we had some good points in any case. Dolores says a lot of people said that Fessy conveniently was absent from after show interviews. So sorry, he knows what he did wrong, and he knows that everybody caught it. Yeah. And he's not the most liked person either. So it's not like it would be easy for him to face the music. Like, people will not make him forget this for sure. What else do we see here on the axe rank? Desi made it on her first attempt. Desi and Michaela pretty much the whole way through together. Tori doesn't get it. She also has to go the long
Man.
way, and she did end up going the long way. And then Chanel came from the back and she made it, which clearly showed how clutch this was, because this is the thing that, both Tori and Fessy missing out is the reason that both of them got purged here. And what a fall from glory for someone like Tori, who's gone to 2 finals in a row, won one of the last 2 finals she's been in, to fall short here. I know, Kahuna, she's your girl. Where does Tori stand after this season? Like, can she come back from this? What can we expect next from Tori?
Yeah, absolutely. She can come back from this. I mean, she's got all the tools. This is what I was saying at the start of the podcast, is that I appreciated the episode and I appreciate the format and the challenge they did. I just think they got the balance off, because the full first day, all those challenges which were supposed to be difficult, or I guess smarts wasn't, but the strength looked brutal. Like it really looked like it was hard. And to get a 1 minute advantage on that, whereas you miss an axe and you're done. Like 1.2 mile extra run is the equivalent to what? 20, I don't know. Like I can't even calculate what it takes to run 2.2 Ks for me, like 2.5 Ks, whatever it is.
Takes time.
I'll be like,
It
that's
takes
like
time.
5 hours, man. Like so my scale is off, but it's
about
a good
3.
10
It's about
minute difference,
3K.
right?
It's about close to 3K, which would probably take. This is in the middle of their run. I wouldn't be surprised if it took them close to 20 minutes to run.
And it's up a mountain, right?
Yeah,
rocky terrain,
and it's
all
up a
that.
mountain.
So yeah, so the entire first day equated to 8 minutes across the span of all the competitors. One axe throw for Fessy equals a good 20 minutes or so on the run, which I think that balance is off. I do like putting the skill in. I do like backing yourself to pick which one you're going to be good at. I like the stations here where if you can't do it, there's a penalty. I appreciate all that. You just got to make them a little bit more balanced and make sense in the grand scheme of things. So Tori did get done essentially by an axe. Like she lost the finals and came 4th because she didn't throw an axe, and Desi accidentally threw it on her first go. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't seem like, especially when they set up the final, TJ made the whole first day, here are the skills that you need to be a challenge champion, and then it ends up being axe throwing, which determined whether, or balancing rocks. So they're not the skills that you need to be a champion. The skills that you need to be a champion is axe throwing.
No, I disagree slightly with you. I think the skills to be a champion is that you have to be versatile and adapt to the final that is ahead of you. Like no final is ever going to be the same.
True.
And I think for you to be a champion, the best champions are the ones that do well across many different finals in different formats. This was just the final for this season. Now, are there certain things that we don't like about the final? Potentially. I personally didn't hate the outcome, because again, like I said, 2 Survivor players won. I'm a big Survivor fan, so because of that, I'm pretty happy with it. But again, I can see how some people, and Tori specifically, would be frustrated because, like BBG 95 says here, I don't think anyone should get purged based on something as random as 5 axe throws. I think there should have been unlimited attempts, but you have to make an axe throw before moving on. That's a good one. But like again, we said it in the beginning of this podcast. Life isn't always fair. The challenge sure as hell isn't always fair. And again, like I said, you got to adapt to the rules within the game. And the rules were pretty clear in regards to how they had to handle this. And it sucked. She went home. She went home early here, and Fessy went home early here. They talk about the fact that, they had a good season together. They looked out for each other. So I think Fessy and Tori, they'll continue to be allies if they come back in the future. And this is by no means the final time that we see Tori on the challenge. She loves the challenge. There was a lot of rumors about her trying to get on the challenge 39 to be an actual competitor. She comes back as a champion, I guess, for 39 as a mercenary, which is going to be fun to see how she performs in that. But, we'll see her back in the future. She's going to become back. The challenge has put too much effort into building her persona on the show to not bring her back and have her revenge here. But this is a very interesting checkpoint, though, because this one here, I think, is if you wanted to say that there was a controversial checkpoint, this is it here. It was an absolute blowout because you had to choose 2 piles of rocks, put them on the scale, weigh them, even it out. And if you could attempt to do that and win, you would be able to get an ATV to drive your way up to the next checkpoint. Has there ever been a more overpowered checkpoint in challenge history? I know you're across some of the older seasons a lot better than me. I can't think of one in recent seasons. This must have been the most lopsided, important checkpoint of all time on the challenge history.
Yeah, I've never seen it. Was so overpowered. Like Corey lost all 4 challenges, 100% on the first day, and just rides an ATV past Banana into second place, kind of thing. So, like that's how strong it was. Again, like I think the 1.2 mile detour way too long. And then they back it up with this. So if you got back-to-back losses or you get back-to-back advantages, the gap becomes astronomical, like to the point where it's unsurmountable.
Yeah, I've got thoughts about this, Lena, because Michaela said she assumed it had to be perfectly balanced. My opinion was, even though Michaela was second going in there, and Desi was like shouldering your girl to the side to get in there first and be able to do the balancing. Well done, Desi. That's what champions are made
Yeah.
of. You know, even though personally,
They look like
Michaela's my girl. I love Desi. I picked Desi as my number 1 pick for the draft, but I think Michaela impressed me more. I think longevity-wise, hot take, I think Michaela could become a like she could be a double or triple champion on the challenge in the future. And I love the storyline that we're seeing with Michaela. She was solid throughout this whole final, but she made a really big miscalculation at this point by not staying back to see if Desi would fail or not. Because how long would it have taken her if Desi failed in that spot to just quickly decide, okay, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to run with Desi. She's gassed herself moving rocks. So I'm going to be lighter on the run, running with her up this mountain, than running up the mountain before taking an ATV. And what universe did you think you could outrun an ATV up the mountain? Like, she made a really, really bad mistake. And I think this is where the inexperience of Michaela comes in, having not run a final before.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think Desi, when she stepped in and started doing the rocks immediately, I was like, oh, that's someone that's been burnt before in the finals last season. Like, she's like, I'm not waiting around. I'm not letting, anyone dictate my game for me. She just stepped in and started doing rocks. And I was like, okay, I guess she's doing it first. But yeah, you're absolutely, I think in the challenge, it's really hard in a finals to just to sit there and wait. And like that takes a different level of patience and resilience to watch someone do something when you could be running, when you feel like you could be getting ahead, you could be doing something, then just sit there and let whatever energy and adrenaline and everything course through your body while you're just watching patiently. That's hard to do. And I think that's experience as well. Like she'll know next time to watch, see, and if it turns out to be pretty easy, then I can have a go on it as well. And if you're right, if Desi failed, then I'm running with her. So there was no advantage to, like, there could have been if Desi failed, but you were taking a big gamble.
Well, even Chanel leapfrogged her. Even Chanel leapfrogged at this point because she actually did it. BBG 95 again here saying that I dislike the second day of the final, even if I'm happy with the winners. Both the axe throwing effective purge and the ATVs were extremely unbalanced. And then Elise says, Kara, my girl Kara, got a mile-long ride in War of the World for winning trivia, but that mile was nothing because she had to wait for the next at the next checkpoint for an opponent. And I will say it would have counted for something, even if Chris and then had to wait at the next. Energy. You're like, a mile is still energy that you're sort of exerting running up this mountain. And even Desi said that while even if the next section is going to be long and I'm going to have to go up against Michaela, she's going to gas herself, which we end up seeing play out. By the end of this, she did end up gassing herself trying to run up there. So definitely not great here. Wooly says, I wish that Michaela finished the finals because seeing Michaela finish the finals would have been good. I agree, but I think it gives us an idea of how difficult the finals can be and how you could be someone that is physically gifted like Michaela and still struggle at the end. We've seen it happen with many other people as well in finals. She's not the first and won't be the last to go through something like this. And Danica says, very good take on that between Michaela and Desi, but that experience that she doesn't have. But I'm glad Michaela made it to the final, but disappointed that she lost. Lena said, Desi said on the official podcast that she was driving that ATV for 20. So I can't imagine how long Michaela and Bananas ran.
20 minutes.
Wow. Thomas says, I love Michaela. I think her problem was that she had to wait for Desi to finish weighing the rocks before she tried. I agree. I would have still waited because just knowing the distance that you still need to run on foot, you're better off to be behind on an ATV than to be behind on foot. I don't know. It's just me. And again, like hindsight, is like 2020 vision when it's already played out. We're sitting in the comfort of our couch at home, having a nice little Coca-Cola classic while watching it, they're out there actually sweating their asses off in the moment, and making decisions on the fly can be a lot more difficult when you're in the heat of battle and you're competing. So I get it. Very impressed by Desi. That scale did not move an inch when she let it go. Very solid. Chris barely got it in there, but it got him into the next one. Bananas messed up, which is, I think, where he lost this final. To know how overpowered this was, even Corey getting to this ends up overtaking Bananas in this segment, because he actually, give Corey some credit. He did a challenge that required some sort of skill that wasn't just physical.
Yeah, he did well. Bananas stuffed it up completely, way overcalculated.
Yeah, it wasn't even close. And this is the type of thing you would think that Bananas would be really good at, but it didn't work for him here. I like the little map that they had with the ATV and like the different players as they were running, so you could have like an idea of who is where on the final, because a lot of the times that gets difficult to explain, I think, when leads keep changing in the way that it did in this final. So a little nod there to production for doing that. But Chris really at this point was never to be seen again. He gets to the checkpoint 3. They've got to do the order of what people went home in, and he obviously sent 4 people home himself, so he knew the order for them.
An advantage.
Big advantage. Little that they know, they were giving him an advantage, sending him in week after week to the arena. And he starts running up the summit, followed very closely by Corey, who overtakes Desi for second place overall, and then Desi getting out there in 3rd place. All 3 of them won't be caught going up the summit right until the end. It felt a little bit anticlimactical at the end, because we've seen some really big mountains in the past. We've seen them go up these snowy mountains, and it felt a little bit anticlimactic for me in that sense, that it didn't feel as grand, and maybe the budget wasn't quite there compared to the main show on MTV. Because even looking at the trailer for 39, it already looks like, I was like, wow, the challenges that they're putting in the trailer looks epic.
Yeah. I mean, we got some pretty big like dailies this year as far as like the spectacle goes. I thought they had some visually stunning stuff. The final
they're very creative.
They are very creative. The final definitely wasn't the biggest mountain. The weather wasn't overbearingly hot or overbearingly cold. It seemed like a really nice day to run up a mountain, like as if I would ever say that in my life. But like for people that look like they could run up a mountain, it looked like pretty ideal circumstances for that challenge. So it definitely wasn't the hardest in that regard, but I don't think it was easy by any means. Like, it's still 10 miles up a mountain, and yes, they got an ATV, which makes a big difference, especially if it's driving for 20 minutes. Holy crap.
Overpowered.
I look, if we get to the end, first of all, I love Desi winning, and as a winner, like her redemption arc from being robbed, like brutally and woefully robbed in the final last season, to then
it's justice.
Crying. They have the like, what? Oh my gosh, I'm so old, Chris. Last night watching it, I was like, oh, this song is perfect. I love this song. I was like, Beck, what song is this? And my wife's like, it's this song. I love this song. And sitting here this morning, I'm like, I can't even remember what song it was. But I was like, it's like they made it look like, I wish Chanel would have got there and we would have seen everyone, but they ended it very abruptly. Chris and Desi celebrating, but I thought it looked good. Like, they were celebrating well, the music and the slow motion and blah blah blah. Look, overall, I liked it. I'm one of those people, and I know you too, where I'll consume the content. I'll look for videos. I'll watch the reunion. I'll listen to podcasts. I'll do a podcast. So it's not that more content is a bad thing, but I also appreciated that this season was quite tight and well paced, and there wasn't a lot of extra crap that we have to.
I'm worried about 39 for that.
Yeah, so
I'm very worried about that, because MTV more quantity over quality is an issue sometimes when it comes to the main show. The one thing that gives me hope. And I know that some people had some opinions about 39 earlier that said that they're worried for it, but I've got hope for 39 in the sense that there is no vet alliance that will just steamroll for the first half of the season, where it's really boring until they finally start eating their own. this season could be very entertaining from the start because there are so many unknown factors going into this next season. But a lot of the times with the main show, it really can be a slog sometimes when it's just the alliances are set. It's the same alliance from the last 3 seasons working together to get everybody out of the house. I don't find enjoyment out of that. So I agree with you. I like the fact that this was a lot shorter and tighter in regards to the episodes that we saw. The final, I wouldn't have minded if we had a little bit more time. Like maybe this was a 2-episode final. We would have seen a bit more. But I also don't know if it would have been paced out properly over 2 episodes with what they had to do in the final and how much more entertainment we could have gotten out of it. But I'm with you. It felt very abrupt. We also get the quick Chris celebration about being an undeserving winner in Survivor, or people thinking he's undeserving, and now this is him proving. I think it's proving to people that he's a competitor. In my mind, my view on his Survivor win isn't that he's undeserving. It's just I don't like the format that he played. And because of that, I can't rank him against other winners. So if I have to rank him, I always put him at the bottom because he's in his own category. He didn't play the same game as everybody else.
That's not his fault, right?
It's not his fault. It's not his fault. I think he played the best game. He played the best game that he could have played for that season. No one could have
You can only play the cards you dealt. When you're playing poker, 100%. You got to play what's in your hand, right? And he played what's in his hand the best he possibly could in Survivor, and then did it again this season as well, which is pretty amazing, to be honest with you.
Interesting one here, Danny. So Danica says that I'm disappointed that both Chris and Desi say that they're not interested in doing any more seasons of the challenge. Desi, I can understand. I feel like Desi we won't see come back. I don't think she'll make her way over to the main challenge. Chris, I think, will be tempted. If they do like an all winners challenge season, and maybe even Desi. Like,
I saw the interview. I saw the interview, and Chris said that his boss is done with the challenge. He doesn't want him to come back, so they're getting time off is hard for Chris. But if there was a winners at war, right? Yeah, I think it must be. But if there was a winners at war, he would be super keen for it. Like he said, he would be, because he rejected winners at war and Survivor apparently.
Right.
Because he said that the winners at war, he was leaving the day he won, like for winners at war, and he was like, I can't do it. It was so mentally
not ready.
Draining. And he only got married 2 weeks before going out or something. He was like, I can't do winners at war immediately back to back. So that's why he's like keen for a winners at war on the challenge would be amazing, which I've always, not always, but I've really hoped that that's what 40 is going to be. Desi said that, like, for her, taking 7 weeks out of her business and everything is just too hard. She said immediately after the final, she was like, no chance. Couldn't pay me enough. But now that she's recovered and healed and stuff, she's opened the door a little bit. She said, I'm amazing.
Winners at War will have $1 million prize. So you know that they'll be tempted a lot more than $250,000, which is good money, but Chris has already won $1 million, This is Desi's first time winning. So there'll have to be like a cherry on top of the cake for them to come back and do it. Let's have a look here at a few more comments coming in. Willie says, I'm happy for Desi winning, and I'm happy for Chris because they send him in eliminations 4 times and he was able to fight through. Thomas says, I was one of those people who don't think Chris deserved to win Survivor. However, I do think he deserves this win. I agree.
Yeah.
Again, I think you'd probably agree. And I don't want to talk for you, Thomas. You tell me if you disagree with this. He played the best game he could for the season he was given. So in that season, I don't think he played an undeserving season for Edge of Extinction. I just hate Edge of Extinction, and I don't want it in Survivor. There's no place for it in Survivor. So I think people really dislike that twist. And sadly, Chris got a bit of the brunt for that. Elise says, I wish the final was 90 minutes. I agree. Danica says, I agree with BBG 95. Thought it was pretty easy looking final, but they also didn't show the overnight part where they had to stand on a block. Yeah, I mean, again, how difficult is it? You just got to have one person staying awake throughout the night. So I didn't feel like we missed too much, but if we had the 90-minute episodes, we probably would have seen it. Elise says, Chris said that he would do another season. He just has to have time to do it. Danica says, I think Chris deserves to win the challenge. That was earned win for him. Same with Desi. Willie says, I hope season 40 is finalists and winners, and Michaela can be there. I think Michaela will come back regardless. I'm actually shocked Michaela didn't come back for this season. She should have been in 39, really, unless work didn't allow for her. She would have fitted in really well with the new champion that they're looking for. Mucky saying, just driving back home, but wanted to pop in to say hey to you guys. Legends, keep it up. Hey, Mucky, hope you're doing well, buddy. Drive safely. I hope you're not watching us, only driving. Eyes on the road. Danica says, Elise Bonds, I read a different article that said he wouldn't, but I'm sure things will change. Money talks. Aria says the challenge winners at war, it will be 10 million prize. Every winner would come back. Yeah, if they 10 million, geez. Everybody would want to play that season. Thomas says, as for Desi, I absolutely love her. I am thrilled Desi won. I have been happy with Chanel or Michaela winning too. Yeah, Chanel's been fun to watch, but she's definitely been the one that's been the most underwhelming out of the three girls at this stage. I feel but she was complaining that a lot of her game wasn't shown. She played a very big strategic game in the back end, and I know she's been saying the edit hasn't necessarily shown that, Kahuna.
Yeah, and she said that she was a lot of fun in the house. She got along with everyone. There was a lot of jokes and stuff, and she ended up on the editing floor, I think.
You could see a little bit of Chanel's personality with that bananas, eating a banana, throwing the banana, and her pretending like she's slipping when she went in for the confessional. So I can see she's probably a fun person to hang around. Like she kind of plays into it when Michaela's like, this is nasty. Like Michaela just doesn't give an inch. And I love that about her as well. Like they're so opposite, Elise says, Danny, I'm going by what he said on the official challenge podcast. Maki, I don't even want to acknowledge that comment. Willie says, Michaela didn't want to do back-to-back seasons. Fair enough. Hey, Pete, welcome. No, don't worry about it, mate. Just go back and listen to it at some point, I guess, because we've pretty much gone through all of it. Just gutted to see Michaela go out in the way that she did. Any final thoughts on this season as a whole? Should we put more respect on Bananas' name? Because, everybody was disrespecting him coming into the season. I was the only one who thought he had another finals in him who potentially could win. And different final, ATV not involved. Who knows? Bananas could have won this season. He was right up there with Chris.
Look, you don't have. You're talking to the wrong person if you're talking about putting respect on Bananas' name, because I respect, but he's the GOAT to me. Like 7 rings on his fingers is unimpeachable. You can't argue with 7 rings, and then however many more finals he's getting to. He did take a hit this season, though, as far as his legacy goes. You want to hear some stats from this season, Chris?
Yeah.
So Bananas is the greatest challenger of all time as far as the number of wins go. Coming into this season, he also held, as far as the finals go, the best winning percentage too. He was 7 wins and 3 losses. But by losing the Challenge USA, he goes to 7-4 at 64%, which means Darrell and Jordan now hold the best winning percentage in a finals. So I mean, that's
what about percentage of finals made versus seasons played? Who's top there? Must be Jordan as well.
Jordan would probably be at the top. I haven't got that one, but as far as it's all about the finals. But yeah, Jordan, Bananas wouldn't have that one. He's got 20 plus seasons, right? With 7 wins, it's still very impressive because a lot of people, like for example, Corey has now done 9 seasons. He's now done 5 finals. And has never won. He's now the worst finals performer ever, tied with Leroy, going 5 finals, no wins.
And boy, Leroy.
So Leroy's held that title, and I guess he's still.
But he's going to change it in All Stars. All Stars 3 is when Leroy's going to come back for that win because they gave him the perfect floor. Did you see the men in that season? Like if he doesn't win, he's never winning, right? Like because they gave him the easiest season possible, like with the people that are coming back for that season.
Maybe that's what they'll need to do for Corey. Put him on All Stars. He might win a chip. So that's like Anissa, Nani, therefore Tori as well. By the way, she's now 1-4, 1 out of 5. She's gone to 5 finals and won 1, which means that she is the worst winning champion as far as percentages go ever as well. So of all the people that have actually won, she's now the worst as far as numbers go. They have to have a minimum of 3 or 4 finals appearances. Like people like Turbo going 1 for 1, or Chris, for example, is 100%. That doesn't count. It's like multiple. Returns.
What about this old school one here, Landon? Very old school. 3 wins from 4 seasons.
Did he? No, I don't know why Challenge Stats didn't have him on there.
Oh, the disrespect by Challenge Stats not to have Landon on there.
So they had Darrell, Jordan, Bananas, Wes, Derek, CT, and then Kenny as the winning percentages go. So I'm not sure what Landon's not there.
I approve of that message there, Danica. I'd love to see Leroy on any season. I'm a big Leroy fan.
Fessy.
One of my dreams would be to go over to Austin to get my, I think it's in Austin, to get my haircut.
You're gonna get a haircut?
How cool would that be, huh?
I
Go
like
meet
that.
the man
That's really
himself.
cool.
I'll pay $200 so I
Fessy
can get
is
my haircut by
now
Leroy.
Fessy has now lost 3 consecutive finals, and it's the second out of the 3 that he's come dead last. Interesting fact is, on all 3 of his finals for Fessy, he's been beaten by Corey.
Right.
So Corey's been in every Fessy final and beat him 3 times. And Fessy now joins 11 players that have gone to 3+ finals and never won, with people like Corey, Leroy, Anissa, Jen, Nani, Kellyanne, Cam. So there's a lot of people in that mix. However, there are some people that have won a final after losing 3 or more, right? So he still has a shot. Corey and Fessy aren't like ruled out. They've lost 3 finals or more, but still have a chance. Brad, Cara Maria, Laurel, Paula, Sarah R, Tori D. CT is the only one to ever lose 4 finals before finally winning.
Right. Can I just bring this stat up? So this stat is one that Andre Lee, who's not in the live at the moment, wanted me to read out to everybody because he knows that everybody in the live are big Josh Martinez fans. So he said he's going to send this one for Josh. And he said Josh is now 1 from 6 in eliminations, 6 seasons without making a final. He's the only male competitor to debut after 2010 to not make a final in their first 6 seasons of the show. A lot of bridges burned, tears shed, and he'll likely be back soon. So stay tuned for Josh Martinez finally getting into a final.
Wow. And I found this one really interesting about Fessy too, is that Fessy and Cam, who is seen as very good, and Fessy doesn't get a lot of the respect because I think more personality, but Fessy and Cam have extremely similar challenge careers. So they've gone to 3 finals out of 5 seasons, both of them. They both have an elimination record. For Fessy is 6-1. For Cam, it's 8-2. 18 daily wins for Fessy, 16 daily wins for Cam, and of course, no championships either. So when you look at Cam, is kind of held as like Killer Cam, the queen, blah, blah, blah. Fessy, he can't eat. He's never going to win the finals. It's a bad partner. And they basically have identical challenge careers, which is an interesting thing to look at. Yeah. It's all about perception. Do you like the person or do you not like the person?
No, 100%. That comes to play a lot on the challenge.
Because, like, honestly, I said I separate the person from the game, right? And that's why I can say Corey has been one of the worst people. But so many people think Corey is amazing. And Corey, like, I like him as a person, sure. But I think he's not as good at this game. But,
yeah,
you know, people see Corey higher than other people because of the personalities, I think.
There's the receipts from BBG95 saying Landon won Inferno 2, Gauntlet 2, and Fresh Meat 2. He lost right before the end in Duel 2. I think his Fresh Meat 2 win is the most impressive in challenge history as he carried Carly to the win. Yeah, she wasn't that strong of a competitor. Fresh Meats 2 was actually my first season was Final Reckoning, and then I went back to Fresh Meats 2 forward when I started watching. So that was like the first kind of OG season. Probably class that as an OG season now that I watch, and that also explains why I'm such a big Cara Maria fan, because I saw her whole sort of story from going first to coming back and battling her way to the top. You know, But anyways, that's it here.
And Michaela joins. Yeah. Sorry, Michaela joins Cara Maria and Bananas and other legends, Evelyn of other legends of the game,
getting to a final after being first.
Yeah. That's crazy.
That's awesome.
A lot of really cool things came out of the final, even though some people were disappointed. We got amazing winners. We got some interesting twists. We got some really sort of legacy defining things coming out of it, which I always find really fascinating.
Danica, I have watched some of the earlier seasons. I haven't watched all of them. I watched the first season, believe it or not, the one that was kind of still like a road rules type of format, and they came to New Zealand or over to New Zealand because I was in New Zealand when I was watching it. That was fun.
Really, with the racist haka intro.
Oh yeah, I don't remember that so closely, but yeah, I saw that season, and then I saw Inferno 1 and 2, I believe, as well. And then the Duel the first duel and the second duel I think I've seen, and that's kind of the old school seasons that I've watched. I will be honest, and a lot of people won't like this, but I'm not the biggest fan of the old school challenge. I like what the challenge has morphed into. I respect it. I understand that there would be no challenge today if that challenge didn't exist, but I'm less of the, like, I know Chantal and Drew and them, they love the party, they love the sloppiness that old school MTV show type of thing that would have brought in. I like the competition. I like the characters like competing, because I come from a very sports sort of background, but I now also appreciate the characters that come with it. I feel like back then it was too heavy on the party culture, the college games, and that kind of thing. I get it, Elise. I get it. I know a lot of people won't agree with me. Like I said, I respect that that's where it
I
started.
got you,
And we
Chris.
wouldn't
I
have to,
agree with you.
yeah, and also I understand that we wouldn't have the challenge today if it wasn't for that. But I have to be true. I don't want to lie to you guys. I'm not a snake oil salesperson that's going to sit here and be like, I absolutely love the old school seasons, when it's not 100% my thing, But I will go back and I will try and get through more of those seasons as well, because there's a couple of OG legends that I want to see more of in regards to, like, there's a few Darrell seasons I haven't seen yet. I think I've only seen one of his wins from the seasons that I've watched. So I want to see why he's so great, because a lot of people still say he's one of the best, but he's been struggling in recent seasons. Since it's an individual game, he just doesn't get back to those heights again, Kuna.
Yeah, I mean that's just, I don't care. I'm gonna be controversial. If I lose people, I lose people. I 100% agree with you, but even more so. Games and everything evolves. Things get better. There's nothing in the world that goes backwards as far as progression and evolving and that sort of thing. Like, if you look at any sport, if you
even
put,
Survivor, old school
even
Survivor
Survivor,
seasons
like,
are not as fun to watch than the new one. Like, well, I guess new school, there's some things about it that's not great, but from a production value and the game mechanics, like, you don't want to go back to a game with, like, I know some people say they want to have a game without twists. I don't think they really want it. They just want more character development and focusing on camp life, which they're doing in this season. I don't want to go back to old school Survivor either, really.
yeah, like I said before, that the season being tighter. Like last night when I was watching it, I was like, I'm really okay with this. Like I'm wondering if I'm starting to, like, big controversial call. I don't know if everyone knows how public Chris is with this, but he has said multiple times in the past that he's now starting to put Challenge as his #1 show over Survivor. And that's
I'm
a
loving
big
it.
call for someone like Chris. That's an evolution in seeing the way the shows change over time. And I'm starting to feel like even like World Championship and the USA 2, I've loved, and I think I've liked them better than the flagship. And I'm like, if this is the direction, if this is the tighter, faster, better paced show without all the other dross that we don't need. I know everyone in the channel is like, old school, old school, old school, but I'm like, I think we're getting better versions of the show now. Like, even the spin-offs, are very good products. So if I'm in that camp where I'm now new school over old, I don't care. I'll own it, man. Like, I'm happy with better product on TV.
Yeah, there's a few people here that say they do like the more competitive challenge as well. Oreo's got the biggest question here, and he's asking Kahuna, if you and Corey went into a hall brawl, would you be a Corey fan if he beats you? Is that how he turns you into a Corey stan? By beating
Look,
you
if
in a hall
Corey
brawl?
can pick up 180 kilos of dead weight, because that's what I would do. I just flop. You just fall on the ground. Like, if he can move 180 kilos of dead weight, then he's the greatest competitor of all time. Like 400 pounds, he's just moving.
You're not giving yourself credit. It's probably at least another 7 or 8 months before the next season happens. You've already done so great on your weight loss journey. You're going to keep making it easier on him. So when you finally go in there, it's not 100.
I'll play Corey in a spelling bee. That's for sure. I would destroy Corey in a spelling bee. Let's do that one.
Yeah, I agree. I love Free Agents. Free Agents is my favorite season, I think, even up until now. Well, I really enjoyed World Championship as well. I really thought, Free Agents is probably still better, but World Championship got pretty close for me on that one, just because of the level of competitors that were in that season. But yeah, I agree. It started upping the ante from that season onwards. BBG95 says really depends on the season for Survivor, good and bad in every era. Pearl Island season 7 is arguably the best season ever, though that it had the Outcast twist, which made the gameplay more dynamic. I don't like the Outcast twist. I'm not as high on Pearl Island as a lot of other people, but I know a lot of people love that season. Trying to think what pre-season 10, I think Amazon might have been my favorite back then because of the game that Rob Sistanino played, jumping back and forth between alliances. He was the first one to really do that in the game, but I get it. Anyways, that's it here for this week. We're sort of going off track. Thank you to everybody in the live that have stuck with us here throughout the season, that have commented and have been a part of the show. We really appreciate you. For everybody that's watching this at a later stage, if you like the content, please consider subscribing. It's the best way to show support to the channel. Hit a like, put a notification bell on, leave some comments below. What did you agree with? What did you disagree with? Like you can see here, everything is fair game on the channel. We appreciate the differences in opinion that everybody has, but from my point of view, it's been a good season. Kahuna, you feel it's been a good season on your end as well? You've enjoyed it?
I've loved it, especially because we got the outcome that we want. It also solidifies Survivor is strong. Like when you've got Tori, Bananas, Corey, Janae, like the vets they picked, good vets, and Survivor dominated the season. I don't know what that means going forward. If Survivor is just automatically much better at a game like this than the Amazing Race or Big Brother, but
I'm a big Survivor fan, but I think they have to go through Jordan first before that becomes a thing, because Jordan has beaten Survivor players now on the challenge, and Jordan probably pound for pound is the best current champion of the challenge.
No, I mean, like
CT coming back in, I don't know yet how he's going to perform after a break, but I feel like Jordan is like, if they wanted to put the best of the challenge against the best of Survivor, let them run through Jordan.
They need Jordan. I just meant like if the USA version is still going forward and they do Amazing Race, Big Brother challenge and Survivor, Big Brother and the Amazing Race have to pick up their game like a lot to compete with what Survivor's done. It's 2 seasons now. All 4 champions are Survivor. That's crazy. Like Survivor's showing they're for real in this show.
Yeah, for sure. Danica, I will let you know throughout the week what the plan is for 39. There may be a slight change to the schedule, but we'll confirm it on the community section throughout the week as well, predominantly due to my own schedule being really busy at the moment, but I will communicate that in the week. So keep an eye on the community tab here on YouTube. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your weekend on that side, and catch you guys next time. Bye.